Jai Hind to all. Now, in the sequence of this security discussion, basically cloud security discussion, we are here to discuss SaaS security. As we know that, what is the SaaS? Okay, SaaS is the software as a service. Because we are here to discuss cloud security, so as we know that in cloud, there are the three types of services are there. Broadly, the cloud services can be categorized in three types. What are that? SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. These are the broad category of cloud services. Broad category of cloud services: SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. So let us see. SaaS means software as a service, means the resources are provided in form of software, applications, software like Gmail services. Okay. PaaS means platform as a services. That means the resources are granted by the provider in which you can develop your own software. You can launch you can deploy your own software and application. So all the required platform that are necessary to write a application, apps, deploy the apps, test the apps, that requirement is known as the platform. So all that kind of software and platform are provided in the PaaS. Okay. Similarly, in PaaS means this enable you to give the some editor in which you can write in any language the code and the programs. You can deploy, you can test that software. The DBMS, database facilities, all these come in the PaaS. Next is the IaaS, infrastructure as a service. That means all the resources that are the hardware kind of things, like you want to server, you want some cloud storage, that come in the infrastructure as a service. So this SaaS is near to the user. Okay, and this is very susceptible and very vulnerable to the different cloud security concerns. So let us see what are the different SaaS security concerns. So this SaaS security concern means in the SaaS, the client has to depend on this provider for the proper security measure. It's fact, because whenever we storing some data in the cloud, so the security is not on our hand. We have to depend on the provider, if that is secure or not. The provider must ensure that multiple users don't get to see each other data, because this is the multi-tenant model. Multi-tenant model means same resources can be accessed by the number of users. So there should be a proper segregation of data, so that one user cannot see the data. You cannot steal the data of others. So it becomes important to the user to ensure that right security measure and concern and countermeasure are there in the place. And also, it is very difficult to assure that application will be available when needed. This means availability insurance. That means you are assuring that should be available whenever needed. Cloud computing provider need to provide some solution to solve the common security challenges that traditional communication system fail. Let us see what are the number of different challenges that should be addressed in the SaaS security. That challenges can be categorized broadly into traditional security concern and the specific cloud security concern. Traditional, I have already told in the previous lecture. In cloud security, these are the general terms like authentication, authorization issues, availability issues, data confidentiality issues. Okay, and the virtual machine means the security related to the virtual machine, because on the same host, number of virtual machine are there. 2 virtual machine, 4, 10, 100, 1000 virtual machine may be deployed on the same hardware, same server. So there should be proper mechanism that assure the isolation of these virtual machines, because once one virtual machine is infected, by any worm, virus or attack, then it is a high probability that that compromised virtual machine can also infect other nearby virtual machines that are running on the same hardware. Okay, there should be proper virtual machine security concern also. When we talk about the cloud specific security issues, these are the general term: information securities, network securities, that means resource locality, cloud standards are there, data segregation, data access, web application securities, data breaches, backups, and identity management. These are the 10 major issues in cloud specific SaaS security. Okay, let us see one by one. What is the information security? When we talk about the information security in SaaS model, as we know that the enterprise data is stored outside the enterprise boundary. Okay, at the SaaS vendor, that means at the service provider side, your data is saved, your data is stored. Consequently, the SaaS vendor must adopt additional security check to ensure data is secured and to prevent the data breaches and the vulnerabilities in which some malicious implies malicious user, to ensure that some malicious user or employee cannot use someone data. So this involves the use of strong encryption techniques for data security and fine-grained authorization to control access of the data. Okay, there should be proper, authorization. That means which data is associated to which person, that only can use. That is the authorization I have already told in the previous lecture. And there should be proper encryption also. Data is encrypted. So it may be possible that somehow some user can access the data of other that cannot use that, because that is not informative. Okay, that is in encrypted and encoded form. EC2, Elastic Cloud 2, administrator with a business need are required to use their individual cryptographically strong secure shell SSH keys to gain access to a host. This is the SSH secure socket shell. This should be there. So all these issues, all these discussion relate with the information security. Okay. Next, network security. Okay. So whenever you are ensuring the SaaS security, you have to concern with the network security also. So your network is secure. You have to ensure. That means nobody can gain access to your local network, or no illegal user can access your system. Okay. In SaaS deployment model, sensitive data is obtained from the enterprises, as we know that, and that is proceded by the SaaS applications and stored at the SaaS vendor end. So all data flow over the network need to be secure in order to prevent leakage of sensitive information. Because when we talk about the network, that means data are communicated, data are in transmission. So that should not be altered, that should not be modified, that should not be changed. So all data flow, okay, you have to prevent the leakage of data. That means the data, someone in middle of communication are hearing or listening your secret data. You have to ensure that they are not. This involves the use of strong network traffic encryption technique like SSL, secure socket layer, that should be there proper. Transport layer security, TLS. These two terms are very important. These two techniques should be used properly to ensure the network security, SSL and TLS. For maximum security, Amazon S3, okay, simple storage, okay, S3 is the object storage service provided by the Amazon, and this is accessible via SSL encrypted endpoints. Okay, the encrypted endpoints are accessible from both the internet and from within the Amazon EC2. Amazon EC2 is basically the Amazon, this is the server facility provided by the a cloud compute facility provided by the Amazon, ensuring that the data is transferred securely both within AWS, Amazon Web Security, and to and from source outside AWS. That means AWS system is there and this is the outside. So someone when want to use some data, want to exchange some data and information with AWS, okay, or AWS want to send some data to the outside, all these two should be ensured, okay, by using the SSL encryption facility is there in Amazon. Resource locality is the other specific issue in SaaS security. What does it mean? In SaaS model of the cloud environment, the end user use the services provided by the cloud provider without knowing exactly where the resources for such services are located. Because whenever you are using some service from the cloud, you have no idea. This is the complete abstraction. You have no idea that where physically that storage is located and what is the security concern and security countermeasure for that particular physical resources. You have no idea. This poses a potential problem when dispute happens, something is going wrong, suppose, then which is sometimes beyond the control of cloud providers. Okay. So the recent Dropbox users have to agree to the terms of service which grant the provider the right to disclose user information in compliance with laws and law enforcement requests. Okay, so resource locality means some provider now is starting to share the information where the resource is there, so that some mishappening with the data and information is happen, then those issues can be resolved under the laws. Cloud standard. Cloud standard is also very basic and important backbone for the cloud security. To achieve the interoperability among the cloud and to increase their stability and security, cloud standards are needed across different standard developing organizations. For example, the current storage service by the cloud provider may be incompatible with those of other provider. Okay, that means storage service is not compatible among the different provider. So in order to keep their customers, cloud provider may introduce so-called sticky services, which create difficulty for the user if they want to migrate from one provider to other. That means sticky service means that you have to stick with that kind of service, and that is only provided by some specific provider. That means when you want to migrate due to some reason, that may be some provider providing the same service with the cheap cost, okay, a better cost, then but you cannot do because that service is sticky. That means there is no compatibility between these service and the same service which is provided by some other provider. So for that there should be standard so that interoperability can be gained, can be achieved. For example, Amazon S3 is incompatible with IBM Blue Cloud or Google Storage. Okay, so there should be cloud standard so that these differences can be avoided, compatibility can be gained, can be achieved. Data segregation, as we know that this is the multi-tenant model, number of users are using the same model, the same services, same storage, basically same virtual machine can be granted to the number of different users. So there should be proper mechanism so data can be segregated. Data can be segregated, differentiated of different users, so that one user cannot access or use the other data. Okay. Other is the data access. Data access issue is mainly related to the security policies provided to the user while accessing the data. So in typical scenario, a small business organization can use a cloud provided by some other provider for carrying out its business process. Okay. So it may be used that data federation means cloud federation is there. That means if I want to use a service that is not available with my provider, that can manage that service, that can take the service from other provider and provide to me. Means interoperability is there. So this organization will have its own security policies based on which each employee can have access to a particular set of data. The security policies may entitle some consideration wherein some of the employees are not access to the certain amount of data. Okay, so there should be proper access control mechanism. Which type of data can be used by the particular employee and which data cannot be visible to that particular employee. Okay, and next is the web application security. Okay, so SaaS is basically a software, as you know that, deployed over the internet and or is deployed to run behind a firewall in local or network or personal computer. So the key characteristics include network-based access to and management of commercially available software and managing activity from central location rather than at each customer site. As we know that this is the beauty of this cloud, that the same piece of software is there that is used by or shared by the number of different users. Okay, this is the pooling, resource pooling. Same resource is pooled by the number of users. So the software, that means whenever there is a number of benefit of this, now the software, the patching of the software have to maintain at the one location. Okay, the updation of the software have to maintain at the one location and that is visible to all the user. So in this case, the software which is provided as a service reside in the cloud without tying up with the actual users. This allow provisioning the software without inconveniencing the user. Security hole in the web application thus create a vulnerability to the SaaS applications. In this scenario, the vulnerability can potentially have detrimental impact on all the customers using the cloud. The challenge is that is not any different than that of any other web application technologies. So there should be basically, to ensure the web application, there should be proper IDS and IPS mechanism. IDS means intrusion detection system, there should be there, and IPS means intrusion prevention system should be there. Okay, that while some means outsider when want to penetrate your system, there should be some IDS, intrusion detection system. Some intrusion is going on there. There should be a system that can alarm that some malicious activity is there in the web. And IPS means there should be a proper mechanism that ensure that whenever an malicious activity is there, that should be prevented properly. Data breaches. Data breaches, since data from various users and business organizations lie together in the cloud environment, breaching into the cloud environment will potentially attack the data of all the users. Okay, once that physical location is compromised, then all the data of all the users will be compromised. Thus, the cloud become a high value target. In the Verizon Business Breach Report blog, it has been stated that external criminal pose the greatest threat 73% but achieve the least impact 30,000 compromised record, resulting in a virtualization vulnerabilities. So data breaches, the possibility of data breaches is there. Again, you have to ensure your data because number of users data are stored at the same location. Backup. Whenever a data is compromised, okay, or there is a loss of the data, there should be a proper backup mechanism in the cloud. So SaaS vendor need to ensure that all sensitive information and data is regularly backed up to facilitate quick recovery of during the disaster or during some problem. Also, the use of strong encryption techniques should be there to protect backed up data that is recommended to prevent accidental leakage of sensitive information. In the case of cloud vendor such as Amazon, the data at the rest in S3 is not encrypted by default. The user need to separately encrypt their data and backups so that it cannot be accessed or tampered with by unauthorized party. So backup is also a very important factor, and that is needed by this particular cloud provider. They have to ensure identity management and sign-on process. This is the other issue that should be resolved in the SaaS security. So identity management or ID management is an area that deals with identifying individual in a system and controlling the access, basically the access control to the resources in the system by placing restrictions on the established identity. So you have proper mechanism of access control. This area is considered as one of the biggest challenges in the information security. When a SaaS provider has to use how to control who has access to what system within an enterprise, it becomes all the more challenging task. In such scenario, the provisioning and deprovisioning of the users in the cloud become very crucial. So there should be a proper identity management protocols and system that can ensure the access control of the different cloud services and the cloud system. There are some summaries like what are the security areas, security issues, and what are the possible solutions. Like authentication and authorization, this can be provided by the open authorization tools, two-factor authentication tools, or OAuth. Okay. Similarly, the availability can be ensured by the data dispersions. Means data is not stored at the one location, that is also located to the multiple locations. Data confidentiality, attribute-based proxy re-encryption model should be there. Virtual machine security, reconfigurable distributed virtual machines, survey on virtual machine securities. These are the possible solutions. Information security, like network security for virtual machines, and network security sandbox. They are the possible solutions that may be. Cloud standard like IEEE, Cloud Computing Standard Study Group, ITU Cloud Computing Focus Group, Cloud Security Alliance CSA. Data access, multi-user access policies should be there. Data access management may be used. Web application security, web application scanners may be used to ensure these issues. Data breaches, backup, agentless method for data backup and recovery may be used as a solution. Identity management and sign-on process. So CSA, identity and access management guidance may help to ensure this identity management. CSA is, what is CSA? Cloud Security Alliance. This is the group. This is the standard which may provide this one. For keeping the patience and listening this very important topic. Thanks.